Hi all, this is Dr. Sarah Winward. I'm a naturopathic doctor and a board certified lactation consultant, and I wanted to talk today about nipple pain. And the first thing I wanted to say about nipple pain or pain with breastfeeding or nursing at all is that no pain is normal. So I hear this all the time. People are told that it's normal to have pain in the first few days or the first few weeks. It's normal to have pain when your baby gets teeth. It's normal to have pain right at the beginning of a feed. Like all these things I hear very commonly, and I want to reiterate, no amount of pain is normal. And to me, what that really means is that if you're having pain, that is a sign that something is going on and we need to figure out what it is. And I highly recommend, if you're having pain with nursing, that you reach out to a lactation consultant to get a full assessment of the situation. But today I'm going to talk about some of the underlying causes of pain and some tips and tricks of things that you can try if you're having pain. So the first thing I want to talk about is sort of the root causes of pain. And I generally tend to think of those in two categories. So the first category is latching mechanics. So something the way that you're holding your baby is causing the pain. And for that, we actually have another video on how to get a good latch. And if you want to take a look at that, that'll go into detail about ways to get a good latch. But some of the two things that I commonly see for people with pain. One is that if you're expecting there to be pain, if you've had pain in the past and you're expecting there to be more, people often hesitate. And so you see that your baby's got a nice wide mouth, you go to put pressure behind their shoulder blades to latch them on, and then you're expecting pain, so your body hesitates for a minute, and then they end up being more shallow because you've hesitated. And so one of the things that I often will say to people is make sure you're latching with intention. So when you see that they have a nice big wide mouth, bring them on with intention so that you're really getting them deeply onto your breast or onto your nipple. The other thing that I often see, and this is especially in parents who are latching in cross cradle, if you're holding your baby at the nape of their neck, parents will often do this to latch them on, where they are kind of using their hand to do the latching, and they end up scooping their baby onto their breast, and that's basically just biting. And so if you think about the mechanics of that, they are, especially if your nipple is here, they are literally just biting on your nipple. And so you really want to make sure that instead of putting pressure through the back of their head and like scooping them on, you want to be putting pressure through their shoulder blades, where you're moving their whole body all in one go, and that's going to bring their chin away from their chest. You really want them in that extended position, and that is going to aim your nipple far back towards the roof of their mouth, where it's more protected from their gums. So when you go to latch, think about putting pressure through their shoulder blades and bring them all on in one go, as opposed to doing this scooping action. And so that's issues that might be going on with how you're holding baby. But then the other sort of root cause I find of pain is issues with the latching, the oral mechanics of your baby. So that could be a tongue tie or a lip tie. So if you think like a tongue tie is tethering the baby's tongue to the floor of the mouth. So when babies are nursing, they have to bring their tongues forwards and lift them in this kind of a motion in order to fully stimulate your breasts. And so if there's a tie, either they might, or both, they might have trouble with the lifting. And so when they're going to lift, their chin is riding up as well, or they're having trouble getting their tongue over their bottom gums. And so when they're latching, you're feeling, when they're sucking, you're not getting the protection of their tongue on your gums, and so you're feeling their gums biting you with every latch, and so that can be a sign of a tongue tie. There also could be tension in your baby's body. So for example, if they have tension on one side of their neck, I see this commonly. If baby has a head preference, they have tension on one side of their necks, it's uncomfortable for them to turn to the other side, and you might find that you're having more pain on one side than the other in that case. But also if they have tension almost anywhere, like along their back, it can be uncomfortable for them to be in that extended position. And so even if you get them on in that extension, because they're uncomfortable, they're going to tense up their bodies, and that's going to make it uncomfortable for you. So those are the two sort of main causes of pain with latching. And if you're not able to get a good latch with those tips from getting a good latch, if you're not able to get the pain to go away, I highly recommend reaching out to a lactation consultant to get a full assessment of what's going on with your baby's body. And then I just wanted to talk about two or three really common scenarios that I see where some like quick fixes can help. So the first one is people who are having pain right at the beginning of a feed. And so as I said earlier, what can happen is if you are scooping them on, that can cause pain at the beginning of a feed, especially if you then adjust. But then the other thing that can happen is if you are, if it takes a few seconds for your baby to get the milk to start flowing, like even 5 or 10 seconds, if your baby is really hungry, like if you've missed those early feeding cues and your baby is now like ravenous, when they go and latch onto your breast, the milk doesn't start flowing right away. There's a few seconds of them freaking out and being very hungry, and then the milk starts to flow, and then they kind of relax their mouths. And so if you're noticing that, one of the things that you can do is first of all try and catch them a little bit earlier before they get to that like hangry state. But then also you can try adding a breast compression, so that you just take your hand and do a little bit of firm pressure at the chest wall pretty far back to help get the milk starting to flow a little bit faster right at the beginning of a feed to help them get the milk faster. And then also you can have pain at the end of a feed. So if you're getting to the end of a feed, if a baby's been on the same breast for like 10 plus minutes and they start to get things start to get painful, often what can happen is that babies will ride shallow as the milk flow starts to slow down. And so I would take that, if you're starting to notice that it's getting like pinchy, I would take that as a sign to switch sides. So that's one, like pain at the beginning or end of a feed. And then the other one that I see commonly is pain where you like can't move at all. So you can get pain-free, but only in one very specific position, and you can't move any part of your body until they're done, which is not good on the rest of your body. Also, like breastfeeding shouldn't hurt in your back and your neck and your shoulders. And what I see often in that case is that parents are lifting their breast into their baby's mouth. Instead of bringing your baby to your breast, you're bringing your breast to your baby. And what can happen there is that especially if you have a larger breast, if you're lifting them up and putting them into your baby's mouth, then as soon as you move them at all, it feels like it's slipping, and so your baby clenches down like, oh wait, where's the breast going, to try and keep it there. And so one of the easiest fixes for that is to remember to bring your baby to where your breast naturally lies. If you lean back, it's a little bit easier because you just have a little bit more space, and because our nipples tend to point downwards, if you lean back, it like kind of brings them up a little bit. It's easier for you to see what's going on. And then if you have larger breasts, what can really help is taking a little receiving blanket, rolling it up, and propping it under your breast so that it just gives your breast a little bit of lift. And then when you lean back, you're bringing your baby onto where your breast naturally lies with pressure through their shoulder blades, and that should help with that. If you are needing to use shaping, which shaping is a great tool to help babies get on nice and deep, make sure that you are just shaping where your breast naturally falls. So that's like making that sandwich for your baby's mouth. Shaping where your breast naturally lies and not also lifting at the same time as shaping. And then when you go to latch, put your baby's upper lip to wherever your nipple is falling in space, and then put the pressure through their shoulder blades. So those are some quick fixes for those specific common circumstances of having pain. If you follow all these tips and you're still not pain-free, then I'd highly recommend reaching out to a lactation consultant and getting a full assessment for your baby. If you'd like to book a free 15-minute phone call or video call with me, the link is available to do that just below the video. And you can follow along at yourdowntowndoula.com, at yourdowntowndoula.to on Instagram for more information about all things pregnancy, birth, baby, and lactation. Bye for now, everyone.